Good evening. Welcome to the City of Sugar Land City Council meeting for Tuesday, December the 17th. A little bit about our meeting tonight. I'm going to do the invocation in a minute. I'll ask you to stand with me. And then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And we've got some special guests with us tonight to help us with the pledge to the nation's flag and the pledge to the Texas flag. If you'll join me right now in an invocation. Thank you, Father, for the gift of your Son as we celebrate his birth during this special time of the year. We ask that you give us wisdom to conduct the business of the city and our residents and to help those that are less fortunate. Finally, Father, we thank you for the men and women of our military, our special forces, and first responders who put their lives at risk so that we can enjoy the freedoms of the greatest nation in the world. May your hand guide this city council tonight as we make decisions for all the people of Sugar Land. And may all that we do be pleasing to you. I ask all these things in the name of my beloved Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Let me introduce our first guest. I have with us Scout Troop Leader Thomas Ferguson and Cody Thalen, who's a scout, and they're going to help us in the pledge to the nation's flag. And then from the Cullinan Park Conservancy, I have the president, Keith Borgfeldt. I have with us Executive Director Beth Wolf, Carrie Schmidt. I don't know if Carrie's here. Jason Miller, I didn't see Jason. Cece Parker, I didn't see Cece, and I didn't see June Tang. So, traffic. Keith, come on down. And Cody and Thomas, please.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the pledge of the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We're going to move now to the public comment, please. I have several people, 8, that have signed up. That doesn't mean you can't speak. I would caution anybody that's going to speak, you may speak on an action item on the agenda. Keep it to topic. No off-topic conversations. We'll keep it civil, respectful. Any chance for singing, we'll be asked to leave the room. If it continues, we'll clear the chamber. We actually have 13 people signed up. Our first guest is Rosina.
Okay, hello. Since you've required that we speak only on agenda items, I've found several that allow me to address my primary concern. First, action item, I think it's 111-B. I really don't know how to say these Roman numerals. But anyway, the resolution on leadership responsibilities and conduct is directly relevant. Leadership is about transparency and accountability, but restricting public comment on critical issues contradicts those principles. Ethical leadership listens to constituents, even and especially when the topics are difficult. And ethical leadership takes a stand for justice and human rights. Next, agenda item IV-A, the park donation, highlights the importance of land preservation and community investment as we stand on stolen land, and as we ignore the destruction of land and displacement of people in Palestine. Land just isn't
I'm
about,
sorry.
it isn't just about zoning or funding.
Cut the mic, please. Step away from the podium. Officer, if you'd escort her out, please. Our second guest is Ms. Garcia.
Yeah, I'm here to speak on your flagrant violation of our First Amendment rights. Y'all should all be ashamed of yourselves, really. Y'all are so scared of a couple of housewives coming up here because they're coming to speak on a subject that you're not comfortable on. Well, that's not, our First Amendment doesn't require for you to be comfortable with what we're bringing the issues to. You are elected officials. Y'all should know how to deal with these things. And instead of engaging with your constituents, y'all have blatantly ignored your constituents, and now y'all want to completely silence your constituents. That's not very American. I just don't understand how you are scared of our First Amendment rights. Just because someone says free Palestine, you get all in your feelings. Why? Are you ashamed? Are you ashamed? Because you have said and done nothing while there's a genocide going on and y'all are complicit in it? Because you are complicit in it, and history will judge you for it. All your bloodline will know where you stood. Yes, you will. Just like how we all know where the Nazis stood, that's what we will know where y'all, everybody will know, and we will make sure that everybody knows where y'all stand.
Cut the mic, please. Go ahead, and if you'll escort. Our next guest is Amina Ishak.
I'm here today to speak about consideration and action on City of Sugar Land Resolution number 2467. I stand before you today to express my deep concern and opposition to this resolution, which is intended to set rules for public comments and add restrictions to the public comment portion of the City Council meetings. This resolution, while seemingly intended to ensure order, is fundamentally flawed, as it threatens freedom of speech, undermines constitutional rights, and opens the door for unfair targeting of specific religious and ethnic communities. First and foremost, the Constitution guarantees every citizen the right to free speech and peaceful assembly under the First Amendment. By placing subjective limits on what can be said, how it's said, and imposing severe penalties for undefined disruptions, this resolution creates a chilling effect. Who determines what is disruptive? A passionate but respectful voice of dissent? A person from a marginalized community who raises a concern? These overly broad terms risk silencing necessary public input, particularly with minority groups, whether they're religious, ethnic, or otherwise, speak out on issues that matter to their communities. The policy's provision to ban individuals for attending meetings for extended periods is especially alarming. Excluding citizens for up to 180 days is not just draconian, but it blatantly contradicts the principles of open government. Public forums exist for the people, all people, even people you don't like, not just those opinions that are convenient for you and palatable for you. This exclusionary practice effectively denies individuals their right to participate in local governance, which is a cornerstone of our democracy. Furthermore, restrictions on comments unrelated to an action item can be weaponized to silence voices like ours that highlight systemic injustices or urgent issues that may not yet appear on the agenda, which we all know the only way to get on the agenda is to voice dissent. This disproportionately impacts groups who often have to fight harder to be heard, such as a person like myself, those of diverse faiths, people that look different than you, people that wear a hijab, ethnic minorities, and marginalized communities, many of who rely on public forums to address grievances that have been overlooked or ignored. Resolution 2467 goes too far. It erodes transparency, stifles dissent, and jeopardizes constitutional freedoms, especially for people like myself. Instead of building a more inclusive and democratic space for citizens, it threatens to punish and exclude those who need a voice the most. I urge this council, the entire council, to reconsider this resolution and to vote against it.
Our next guest is Caleb Kirkpatrick. Caleb.
Over the past few months, I have done research on local government. I have interviewed officials of local government. I have written many research papers on local government, and I have come to the conclusion that when boiled down to its most simple and pure form, local government is about putting things on a map to best benefit its citizens. It is all about planning and zoning. In this situation, you have a sign on Highway 90 that is non-compliant. Simply put, it's too tall. The business wishes to redevelop the sign, but even after said redevelopment, the sign will still be non-compliant. The ordinance sets up a special industrial overlay district that will allow the sign to be taller, specifically 35 feet to be exact, the normal sign height being 10 feet. Sugar Land is in an age of redevelopment. The city's goals are to be trailblazers in their space. What shows a city trailblazing a path ahead than extending the olive branch and helping a business with their sign problem? The behavior sets a precedent that Sugar Land will move mountains for its local businesses. This amendment is proof that Sugar Land is dedicated to helping out local businesses. This agenda shows everyone, everywhere, that Sugar Land will extend and outreach a hand of aid to a business that are struggling or need help. It shows a resolve that other cities may not have. It shows that Sugar Land is willing to go to the extra mile to do what is needed to be done to get work finished. Sugar Land is all about economic development. Half of the city's sales tax is spent on economic development. By making this district, you show that you don't just talk the talk and throw money around, you walk the walk and make the change that helps these businesses. The city is currently going through a major phase of redevelopment. In such a phase, I see no purpose for this ordinance to be denied. I cannot fathom it. The sign should have been built in compliance originally, but in Sugar Land, we look towards the future and walk ahead instead of sinking back and thinking hindsight is 20/20. When something is wrong or something needs to be fixed, we do something about it. Sugar Land now has the opportunity to prove that they are the sweetest city in Texas. According to Sugar Land, Texas government website, the mission statement of the city is relentless in our pursuit of good so that our employees, residents, and businesses can enjoy a life better than they can even imagine. Now is the time for the council to prove it and show businesses that this is the place to be. When things are needed in Sugar Land, the council gets it done. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Caleb. Our next guest is Alyssa Mishi.
Hit the button again. It's on. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk about, sorry, this bothers me so much, it's hard to speak. Basically, everything everyone else has been up speaking to, just until recently. This hurts me a lot. I think I've talked to you about this before, Mayor Zimmerman. Shutting down public comment and putting in these restrictions. My family's been here since 1610. I'm a direct descendant of Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island, and the grandfather of the First Amendment in this country. I understand that the situation is uncomfortable. I have seen other city council meetings where people regularly get up who are crazy and spread conspiracy theories about their councilmen. But you know what? They are not treated the way the people have been treated here. They have not been silenced. They've been met with the love of God, the wisdom that you spoke about earlier in that invocation. My family did not spend its blood, sweat, and tears over the past over 400 years to have this Sugar Land City Council start crushing public comment. Because I can tell you, Roger Williams in his hometown in Massachusetts, after he got there from London, he got kicked out for his dangerous ideas, for his dissent. And that dissent is now what makes up our U.S. Constitution. I am so discouraged that this is how the city council has decided to handle this. I've already come up here and spoken before about what's happening to my family back home. I have Israeli Jewish friends who are being crushed in their home country for speaking out for their government's behavior. It is just so distressing to me, and it is the point, this is where we were, 2021. Hamza, come stand around to the front. 2021, I brought my students here to celebrate their national championship, and you had declared us the ITF national champions of America. I have sent students to international competition now. And if this is the direction we are going, I don't want to celebrate anything with the people up here, with the people making the decisions. This is the declaration you made for us. I am an American. I worry about you. I do not hate you. But the road you are walking on right now is delicate, and it is about to crumble out from all of us if we keep going this way. I pray for that wisdom you said, Mayor Zimmerman, because we need to think before we do. I highly oppose.
Thank you. If we're going to clap, then I'll clear the room. That's the first warning. The next time I'll clear the room. Our next guest is Michelle McKeska.
Good evening. I do believe that Alyssa spoke for all of us just now. I hope you heard that loud and clear. I want to bring up the resolution that you all are going to be voting on camera. Every one of us is going to see who voted yes for it today. And we will remember in May. You say that this is according to the Texas Open Meetings Act and the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. That is a bold claim, because here is what you have restricted us from doing, or here is what qualifies as a disruption. Let's look at these. Failure to speak on an action item on the agenda when you know we can't put items on the agenda. We've asked, we've emailed, we've contacted almost every single one of you in this room so that you could hear our voices and our concerns. You didn't put it on the agenda. And then you punish us, kick us out, call the cops on us, peace activists, because we don't speak on an agenda item. It's shameful. Oh, this one in particular is my favorite. Talking out of turn or verbal utterances. Verbal utterances. If somebody mumbles in the back, are you going to now kick us out? Oh, this one, failure to silence your cell phones. What if an emergency responder is in here and their pager goes off? Are you going to kick them out of the meeting? This is draconian. This is not democracy. How dare you say that this is in line with the First Amendment of the Constitution? For people who only want to talk about peace. All you had to do, you could have given us another forum. You could have come up with a creative solution. You're our leaders. I remember in the beginning when this all started, being excited because I had never really come to a city council meeting before. And I had seen the way that our state representatives and our federal representatives had ignored us. And I thought, you know what? That's not going to be true of Sugar Land. I'm going to be able to come here and talk to them, only to be stonewalled again because you didn't like what we had to say. You should all be ashamed.
Our next guest is Medhat Mohammed.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for being able to address this body. I rise to oppose Resolution 2467. I address this body. This is a representative republic. And in this republic, this is the way we citizens can address the body. And other city councils, it is open. There's a set time, and they can address the city council on any topic. And I would love one day to talk about one of the parks up the road here. But that's never on the agenda item. But how do citizens address their republic, their elected officials, other than coming to these bodies? And the great city of Sugar Land, and I was told by many people that Houston is the most diverse city in the United States. And Sugar Land arguably is more diverse and is the most diverse place. And we are going to have people with different issues coming and addressing this body. And we may have a situation where people on the opposite side of how we stand come here. And this body will have to address that. And how else do we resolve our resolutions if we cannot address the city council in a democratically elected republic? At the end of this process, we, the citizens, have the process to address our government. What will happen in a year, or 2 years, or 10 years, when another issue flares up? And this body will have to address that. What will we do? What will we do when this room is packed with people on a different resolution, on a different issue? And how will we address this? Understand, by closing down the avenue for citizens to address their government, this is a slippery slope, ladies and gentlemen. And if that's the case, this is the first step to that. I strongly oppose the City Council's resolution. I strongly encourage everyone on this body to oppose this resolution for today, for tomorrow, for years to come. When you are not in those seats and other people are, and how you will address the citizens of Sugar Land. I hope you all vote against this resolution. Remember, this is the first step to ending our representative republic and the slow slope to the end of our democracy. Thank you, Mayor and City Council.
Thank you. Our next guest is Amana Ather.
Good evening, council members. My name is Amina, and I'm 10 years old, and I'm in 5th grade. I'm here today because Resolution 2467 doesn't feel fair and goes against our freedom of speech and rights as citizens. This resolution makes it easier for people to get kicked out of meetings for small things like a phone ringing by accident, or even because someone decides their comments are off topic. Imagine getting banned from meetings for 60 days just because you were nervous and lost your place for a second. That's not fair. What's worse is that rules like these could be used unfairly against people based on how they look, where they come from, or their religion. If someone disagrees with a speaker's belief or doesn't like what they have to say, this resolution can silence them. Our Constitution guarantees freedom of speech. But how can we trust it's being protected if people are getting kicked out for things they can't control, like an unsuspected phone call or being judged unfairly? We learn in school that everyone's voice matters, but this resolution could stop important conversations from happening just because a rule was misunderstood or misused. Instead of creating fear that someone might be removed or banned, shouldn't we encourage everyone, no matter who they are, to speak up and share their ideas? Please reconsider Resolution 2467 because our community deserves a government that listens to all of its peoples, not one that silences them for small mistakes or unfair reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Amana. Our next guest is Rima Rizek.
Hi, my name is Rima Isaac. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. This is the first time I speak with you guys or speak to you. I just moved here recently from Cincinnati, Ohio. Things are very differently. We are able to speak freely in Cincinnati. Our mayor listens to us. And I'm very shocked seeing the city council, I have to say. And furthermore, with this extra ordinance that you guys have here, it's just even more restrictive. Like, I can't believe it, for real. We would speak to them directly. They would comment back at us. And it was just, I felt like I was in a place where I can have a dialogue, that me and the city council members were on the same level. But I don't know what's going on here in the Sugar Land City Council. I don't even feel like you guys represent us. When I go out in Sugar Land, I see diversity. Here, I don't see it. I don't feel like you guys represent me. And if you truly do represent me and the people behind me and the people like me, then you should be listening to us and to our concerns and not preventing us from speaking. My son spoke at City Council and spoke his opinion. And I don't know if he would feel comfortable speaking here. Are you guys making a future for children to speak as they grow, or are you suppressing them? Honestly, it's reminding me of the regime that was just toppled in Syria. You guys speak about how those countries are third world countries, yet look at what you're doing. You guys are silencing people exactly like Bashar al-Assad did. This is kind of shameful. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Our next guest is Natalia.
So I know this anti-American resolution is going to pass, no matter how much logic is thrown at you. So I really just want to take the opportunity to speak for myself, nobody back there, just me, to tell you guys, every single one of you here today, I want to let you know that you are savages. There's 45,000 dead babies, and you want us to stop talking about it? Why? Because they're brown babies? If these were piles and piles and piles of dead white babies, would we be allowed to talk about it?
I'm sorry, that's not part of the agenda. You know the rules. Speak to the agenda item. It has nothing to do with dead babies, it has nothing to do with brown babies, white babies, or any other kind of babies. Please speak to the agenda item.
I don't care to speak to the agenda item. I just want to tell you that you're all white.
Cut the mic.
White supremacists, and we can all see it. Okay? Thanks.
Our next guest is Sarah. Sarahe. Okay. Our next guest is S. Khan.
Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, fellow citizens, thank you for the opportunity to address the Assembly. I stand before you to express deep concern regarding the adoption of Resolution 2467, which amends the policy for public comments. This resolution imposes undue restrictions on free speech, which is a fundamental right enshrined to us in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. It stipulates that public comments must pertain strictly to agenda items posted for action, effectively barring citizens from addressing issues of personal or communal importance that may not be on the agenda. This limitation suppresses the voices of Sugar Land residents that you all are representing, who are seeking to bring new matters to the council's attention. And this resolution undermines the democratic principle that government should be responsive to the concerns of its constituents. There's a few other things to me as I read this that stand out as absolutely ridiculous. First of all, asking people to give their name and address and telephone number when you are going to publish it publicly online in the meeting minutes, that's not fair. Y'all put up y'all's name and telephone numbers every day publicly so we can see them. Because that's just not right. You're putting people in danger asking people to do that. Also, use of an allotted individual comment for purposeful delay, including remaining silent or engaging in other activity. That is another First Amendment right. To come up here and be silent for 3 minutes, that's a First Amendment right, actually, that you, Mayor Zimmerman, are violating. And you are so disrespectful. You have been not even looking at half of the people that are coming up here. I've noticed that, by the way. Another thing that's ridiculous to me, holding or placement of a banner or sign in the meeting room in a way that endangers others, what does that even mean? Behavior or the use of racial slurs? Mayor Zimmerman, you're the racist. You've shown that. talking out of turn or verbal utterances, failure to silence cell phones. The worst part is that all of this, according to this, is under the discretion of the chair, okay, which is one person, Mayor Zimmerman. And we know that he does not use this discretion properly. He has kicked out people that have been on topic for just saying the word racism, or earlier when someone said white, and you got heard about that, Mayor Zimmerman? I really don't have much to say to y'all. I am just, even for the behavior that you've showed, I'm so disappointed. You say that you're Sugarland is a diverse city. You do not represent us. As it stands right now, y'all are not representing us. You have shut down our comments about the Israel-Hamas conflict, also known as the Palestine war. Free Palestine!
Go ahead and escort her out, please.
Yeah, escort me out, it's fine. You cannot shut down the set. And y'all know it is our First Amendment right to stand up here silent. It is our First Amendment right to stand back here silent. And these cops escorted me out when I did speak on topic. Following your orders. Following your orders, not even thinking about it, Mayor Zimmerman. That's what led to Nazi Germany.
Our next guest is Amina. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? We're going to go ahead and close public comment. We're going to move on now to the consent agenda. Everything on the consent agenda. Okay. Let me return to the public comment. There is somebody, Basar Ahmed, would like to speak.
Thank you. Boy, you were very quick to close that comment. I didn't get a chance to raise my hand. I'm here to speak on item 5A, resolution 2467. I read the bill, and it's a really dastardly act, and it reeks of cowardice as you attempt to silence the freedom of speech and expression of your constituents, something which you have done a remarkable job over the last year and a half. I don't know why you feel the need to do better. But it's a new law even for this council. It's utterly shameful and disgraceful, but it's not surprising, nor is it unexpected. Because it's not like you've acted with a lot of grace over the last year for us to judge you on. So what I think of this act is it's another leg for your racism and prejudice to stand on, because you can't stand people who look different from you or have a different opinion from you. So you need another leg to have another avenue to stem that voice of dissent, right? And what's really sad here, and I want you all to reflect on this, is regardless of how many people come here, whatever reason they give you, whatever rationale they give you, whatever laws they throw at you, this will, I know, and all of us here speaking know that this will pass through unanimously. Because after all, birds of a feather flock together. So it's racism that unites all of you, and that will unite you through this resolution that's being passed as we see it today. I'm here standing on this, speaking on this, because I want to side with what is right and what is just, so I can lead as an example for my children that I was here doing my part to make sure I can sleep better at night, which I don't know how all of you do. But history will judge you the same way it has judged before you, people before you, and none of you seem to have learned any lesson from any of this. So with this, I would hope against hope that somebody, only one person, has a moral sense to do the right thing and say this is not American, this is not democratic, this is not part of democracy. But I really don't think this would happen. So thank you.
We don't have anybody else that's signed up. We're going to move on to item number 3, consent agenda. Everything on the consent agenda will be taken under one motion unless the council member wants to pull an item, at which time we'll consider that item separately. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Lane, second by Kermali. Any other discussion? Vote at this time, please. We'll do a hand vote. Favor, say aye. Aye. Passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 4, donations. 4A, consideration of an action on acceptance of a donation from Cullinan Park Conservancy in the amount of $514,611.22 for the Cullinan Park project, Phase 3, Design CIP PK 2302, and authorization of a budget amendment in the amount of $390,000 to revenues and expenditures. We have with us Finling Du, Parks Development Manager, Parks and Rec. Finling?
Good evening, Mayor Zimmerman and City Council members. I am the Parks Development Manager for the Parks and Recreation Department. I also have our Parks Director, Kimberly Terrell, and Assistant Director, William Hatchdick with me. We have been having great partnership with Cullinan Park Conservancy in the last several years in order to improve the park to be a nature destination. The Conservancy, Cullinan Park Conservancy Board has worked tirelessly to reach that goal. And then I'm very honored to have a few Cullinan Park Conservancy Board members with me tonight. And I have Mr. Jason Miller, Ms. Beth Wolf, and also Mr. Keith Bogford. Now I'm giving, how can I? Sorry, I'm trying to know how to flip to the, okay, thank you. Just a little bit of history about this park. We, City of Sugar Land and the Cullinan Park Conservancy signed an MOU in 2015 stating the Cullinan Park Conservancy is responsible for raising the funding for the capital improvements, and the city is responsible for the operation and the maintenance of the park. Because the park property actually belongs to the City of Houston and the Houston Parks Board. In June 2015, we entered interlocal agreement for the operation, maintenance, and the construction of the park. In January 2016, City of Sugar Land annexed the park, and we started formally managing and maintaining the park in collaboration with the Cullinan Park Conservancy. Until February 2017, the Cullinan Park Conservancy made a donation overall more than $1 million for the design and the construction of the Cullinan Park Phase 1 development. The Phase 1 development included a restroom, 1/3 miles of trails, signage, and donor recognition, and site furnishing. The construction was completed in fall 2019. It was just in time before the pandemic, when people needed more space and time to be outdoor and in nature for their mental and physical health. And then soon after that, the Cullinan Park Conservancy directly signed a contract with the consultant to complete the conceptual design for Phase 2. And then from the year 2020 to 2023, City of Sugar Land accepted 3 more check donations from the Conservancy, totaling more than $1.5 million in order to complete the design and the construction of Phase 2, which includes additional parking, 1.2 miles of trails, signage, and site furnishing, and also trailheads, and then the beautiful monument art that you see in the picture, that is an entry monument that was done earlier this year. We enjoyed a very beautiful ribbon cutting ceremony earlier this year. And next, after that, from the middle of last year to last month, November 2024, Cullinan Park Conservancy hired the consultant to complete the conceptual design for Phase 3. Phase 3 is a area, very special area that allows the families and the children to learn, explore, and play in nature. We have a very cute, neat name for that. It's LEAP. The 30% design was just completed in November, and then we are ready to move on to the 60% and construction documentation. Today, including the in-kind services and the cash donations, the Cullinan Park Conservancy is donating in total of $514,611.22. And then including all the previous cash donation, in-kind services, the Cullinan Park Conservancy has donated to date approximately $3.4 million. Now, this is not even counting the countless time and effort that the Cullinan Park Conservancy spent outside of their regular jobs and regular duties in order to, outreach to the community, raise all the funding, communicate with the Cullinan family, and manage the conceptual design contracts. We, because of the very successful partnership, we have really worked together to make the park grow rapidly to be a greater regional destination. Comparing with the 2017 data, which is the earliest data we can have, the park visits have increased by 2.3 times. The park visitors increased by 1.8 times. And then among those visitors, 34% are from Sugar Land, 38% from Houston, and then the remaining are from other cities and other states, including Dallas and the states including California, North Carolina, etc. Next, please. With that, the Parks and Recreation Department staff recommends that City Council formally accept the donation in the amount of $514,611.22. Approve a budget amendment in the amount of $390,000 for Cullinan Park Phase 3 CPK 2302, and extend the city's gratitude for the generous donation made by Cullinan Park Conservancy to the city of Sugar Land. Thank you.
Thank you. To the Cullinan Park board members, Jason, Keith, I know, Beth, you've been involved with that, and to our park staff, we want to thank you for your donation. Thank you for the work in the park. It truly, from the time that it opened to where we are right now, it's pretty extraordinary. I mean, people don't realize what a gift that park is. It's almost as big as Memorial Park, Passive Park. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do on the trails. Now we've got restrooms. So thank you again for your dedication and for bringing this forward. Council members, anyone else?
Second.
Yeah, got a motion by Wally, second by McCutcheon. I'm sitting there looking at your name. Can't even read it. Got a motion, got a second. Vote at this time, please. Do a hand vote. Favors aye. Aye. It passes 7-0. Thank you. Number 5, ordinances, resolutions. 5A. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land, resolution number 2467, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, adopting a policy for public comment at City Council boards and commission meetings and repealing resolution number 1930. We have with us our Deputy City Manager, Ms. Jennifer May. Jennifer.
Good evening. Tonight before you for consideration is resolution number 2467, adopting a revised policy for public comment at public meetings. As background, City Council meetings are a limited public forum, and as such, your meetings have a focused purpose of conducting public business. You do have an existing policy that regulates public comments by giving speakers the opportunity to provide testimony on items on the agenda for action and consideration prior to such action being taken, all with the goal of ensuring decorum and the efficient, respectful, and professional deliberation of the public's business. We are here tonight to discuss some of the proposed revisions to further refine protocols and procedures to ensure orderly conduct of such meetings. Overall, the revised policy before you focuses on 3 things. The first being the reiteration of our longstanding policy, including allowing public comment that is limited to agenda items on the agenda for action and consideration, as well as for designated public hearings. The provision of a request to speak form for prospective speakers to fill out, and the establishment of a 3-minute time limit with certain exceptions. Second, the policy revisions include several clarifications to formally add your existing practices regarding the handling of disruptions of public meetings to the policy. Lastly, the policy does establish a set of additional procedures regarding individuals who have been removed from a meeting for causing a disruption, including additional restrictions regarding attendance at future meetings, alternate methods of providing testimony, and an appeals process. Moving into the detail of the policy clarifications and additions, the slide before you does outline examples of what constitutes a disruption, including failure to comply with allotted time establishments, outbursts from persons not recognized by the chair, comments unrelated to an action item on the agenda or the agenda item on which the speaker signed up to speak, and delaying the orderly progress of the public comment period. Additionally, the use of the comment period for purposeful delay, holding or placing a banner or sign in such a way that endangers others or obstructs the free flow or view of others in attendance, behavior such as threats and abusive language or other disorderly conduct that intentionally disrupts the meeting, talking out of turn from the audience, and failure to follow the direction of the chair or security officials. As is your current practice, if there is a disruption, the chair will preserve the order and decorum of a public meeting and may issue a verbal warning if an individual begins to disrupt the meeting or otherwise does not comply with the policy. If the individual continues to disrupt the meeting, they will be asked to leave the meeting. And then further, the revised policy does include the addition of a subsequent exclusion period from future public meetings for a period of 60 calendar days. Additionally, if the restoration of orderly conduct is not feasible, the chair may clear the room and adjourn the meeting until such time as order can be restored, with an exception for press or other news media upon the demonstration of appropriate documentation. The new amendments do include several additional remedies for anyone removed and/or excluded from future meetings, including the ability to continue to view future meetings online and the ability to submit written comments to the city clerk that will be read into the minutes, provided such comments comply with the policy. Further, if an individual who has previously been removed for disrupting a public meeting violates the policy again by disrupting another public meeting a second time within 90 days, the chair may impose a secondary attendance restriction of up to 90 days with third and subsequent restrictions for 180 days. In addition, of course, to any relevant criminal charges that may be imposed under state law. Finally, it is important to note that the policy does include an appeal process. Anyone excluded from in-person attendance may submit a written appeal to the city manager within 5 business days, which will be considered within an additional 5 business days, with the exclusion remaining in effect during that consideration. Overall, the next steps are for City Council to formally consider Resolution Number 2467, with the policy becoming effective immediately if approved. And I would be happy to answer any clarifying questions.
Questions? William?
I certainly have a question. So I want to hear from our constituents, and is that the intention of the name, address, information request on the form? And is that information verified before they speak?
To my knowledge, and I will look to the city secretary or the city clerk, it is not verified prior to speaking, but the intent behind that kind of long-standing practice of requesting that has been to understand whether or not they are citizens of the city of Sugar Land, and in some cases, which district they reside in, depending on the matter, before the city council, as well as to provide a method of contact to follow up if there's anything that staff needs to follow up with the speaker about.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Suzanne.
I have a comment more than a question. I've heard continuously that this is the only place that you can talk to your council in a public forum. We are your elected officials. I've spoken to you on the phone, several of you, over this issue. We've had great conversations. That's what we're here for. This is not your only avenue to discuss things with us. We take your phone calls. We see your emails. We got probably 18 in the last 30 minutes before we got here. If you had sent them earlier, you might have gotten a response. This is not your only avenue to get together and talk to us. So contact us at our emails or phones. You do, and by the way, you do have our information to contact us. It is public record.
Before we go to vote, I'm gonna address some issues that I've heard tonight. First and foremost, from January or February on, we listened attentively. We listened. We had people come to the podium. We listened to those people. We told you why we would not take action. And we also suggested that you go to your elected officials at the federal level. You have continued to insult, bully, yell and cuss at this council in various forms. You followed us out to our cars and trucks. You've scared some of the council members. This is not the forum for for what's going on in Gaza, Palestine, and what happened in Israel when they slaughtered 1,200 people. So I suggest that you go and you visit with your...
You say you slaughtered the amount of people in Israel, but you don't mention the babies and the children. How dare you?
Go ahead and... Go ahead and take them. Go ahead and ask.
For Israel, but you can't pray for Palestine. And y'all just lie. Make emails.
Let's go ahead and clear the chamber, please. Clear the chamber.
Free Palestine!
Council meeting, I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution number 2467. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by Lane. If we'll all vote at this time, please. Discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, for the record and for the video, I would like to remind everyone that council is not expressing any opinion on any conflict abroad, any conflict in Europe, any conflict in Africa. We are not expressing any opinion other than the fact that this is not a
local issue.
Right. This is not a local issue.
Agreed. You'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 6, public hearing, 6A. Receiving here all persons desiring to be heard on the proposed amendments to Chapter 2 and Chapter 4 of the Land Development Code establishing an industrial sign overlay district. ISOD 98 for certain restricted light industrial zone and rezoning restricted industrial district M1 to restricted industrial district M1, industrial sign overlay district, ISOD 98, properties directly abutting the railroad right-of-way along US 90 between Dairy Ashford Road and Eldridge Road, and adding development regulations applicable to the ISOD 98 district. We have with us tonight Jessica Rodriguez, our Interim Assistant Director of Planning and Development Services. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to start with the background on how we have this before you. The city was approached by one of our local businesses for a redesign on that sign. The proposed sign didn't meet the requirements of our land development code, so staff re-examined unique characteristics that we have within that area and looked at creating an overlay district. You, the council, passed a resolution directing staff to create that overlay district. So before you, we have the development code amendments for this redevelopment as well as the rezoning of that property. The properties are zoned M1, and the overlay district is proposed to stretch from Eldridge to Dairy Ashford, abutting the Union Pacific right-of-way. So on this map, showing you here with Eldridge and Dairy Ashford along US 90A. What the proposed amendment before you is going to do three things. It's going to establish the ISOD 90A overlay district in Chapter 2, which is our zoning regulations. It's also going to give us regulations for the sign code in Chapter 4. And then we're also going to propose rezoning properties that are zoned M1 to M1 with the overlay district, and that's going to be between Dairy Ashford and Eldridge along the Union Pacific Railroad extending 200 feet north. Currently, the regulations in this area allow for a maximum height of 6 feet of a sign with 60 square feet of effective sign area. This is the map that shows you the properties that are zoned M1, which does not extend all the way to Eldridge and then to Dairy Ashford. The proposal before you is in this chart with the ISOD 90A with a maximum effective sign area being proposed of 200 square feet, a height of 35 feet, minimum setbacks of 150 feet, and that's going to be from the property line of Union Pacific North, and then 20 feet, and that's going to be from the curbs on those side streets. So perhaps it'd be Gillingham or also Dairy Ashford. We added some subsections in here with B, C, and D that tell you how those are going to be measured. Notably in D, we added some information in here for lighting, specifically uplighting or downlighting not being permitted due to the height of the signs. This is how we define our maximum effective sign area. It's our sign height, our sign width, and that's to the ground level, and that's how we get that calculation for the sign, and in this case with the 200 square feet that we have before you. This is an example of a sign that's 29 feet in height. It's 6.8 feet in width. The maximum effective sign area of this sign would be 197 square feet. Actuality of it is that you could have something as small as 12 square feet of a sign on this, or I should say a sign message on this. That's what I have as the MSG on it, just generic message to illustrate for you. These are some examples of existing signs that we have in the area. These are the Sugar Land Business Park signs. The sign that you have over on the left of you there, that's to the west, and that sign is, the tallest point of it is 22 feet in height. And then the one that's over to the right is going to be on the east side, and that one is 40 feet in height to give you a visualization of what that feels like from the 98 corridor. These are the only two existing signs that we have in the proposed overlay district. There's one for Schlumberger, which is about, I think, 31 feet. And then we have another one here on Industrial that's about 6 feet in height. The proposal before you is in conformance with the land use plan, specifically Goal 4B, which is a great place for business, as well as Goal 9 for fostering redevelopment.
Points for you to consider this evening. This proposed amendment before you and the rezoning aligns with the land use goals. It supports the M1 zone property that have larger frontages that abut the railroad to give them that increased visibility within the business park. It's also supporting our businesses by encouraging establishments to stay within our city and creating more revenue and job creation. And those businesses are going to be more likely to invest and expand in the areas where they feel that the city's policies and regulations are supportive of their needs. Planning and Zoning held a public hearing on October 8th of 2024. There were no speakers present at that time. There were clarifying questions regarding the maximum sign height, how many signs could be allowed on the corridor, speed limit, what was the precedent set before us, and what was the impetus for this request. The commission tabled that request on the 8th, and it was brought back to them on November 12th, 2024 for consideration and action. Clarifications were made to the Planning and Zoning Commission talking about the maximum effective area at 200 square feet and how we calculate that. The number of monument signs that are permitted, which is a maximum of 2 signs, and then also that sign lighting. The commission recommended approval to you with 4 yeas to 1 nay. Notification was sent to property owners within 200 feet for the rezoning, as well as a publication in the newspaper and publication on the city's website. We have no inquiries that we have received at this time, and staff is not aware of opposition. We are aware of the one support that we got in public comment at the beginning of this meeting. We recommend approval along with the commission of ordinance number 2357 to you tonight. I can continue any questions you have after the conclusion of this public hearing.
Thank you, Jessica. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this particular agenda item? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. We're going to move on to item number A. First consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2357. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, amending Chapter 2, Article 2 of the Sugar Land Development Code by adopting a sign overlay district, ISOD 90A, and rezoning from restricted industrial district M1 to restricted industrial district M1, industrial sign overlay district, ISOD 90A, for properties abutting the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way along US 90A and located between the center line of Derry Ashford and the center line of Eldridge Road, and amending Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 424, sign regulations for freestanding signs. Any questions of Jessica? William?
As a small business owner, I appreciate signage. In this case, I'm curious because there are so few signs now. What generated this concern or interest for review, and based on the lack of response from the business community to speak or any kind of comments, what's motivating this ultimately, if I may?
So we got a request, we got a permit in from a business owner, and the existing sign and the redevelopment of that sign didn't conform to our regulations. We have heard from other businesses within the community through our economic development department talking about signs that just aren't permitted. So looking at those things, we decided let's come up with something with the overlay district, because we do have that barrier with the railroad and that visibility from that location. This is a first phase that we're looking at with signs here with the overlay district. We hope to bring something before you where we can have maybe some signs that are greater in height just on 90A, not specifically with this tall of a height, but just with our code in general, we allow monument signs up to 12 feet in height, but on US 90A, it's not permitted. It's only 6 feet in height. And you basically have the same speed limits from the feeder road of US 59 that you have to 90A. So you still could have some visibility problems going, 50 miles an hour.
And a quick follow-up. So the example you gave, the MSG example, I'm assuming our city team has a way of controlling. It won't be an unattractive MSG. There is some standard, I'm assuming, that will keep it attractive.
I don't know how much we regulate attractiveness because...
Well, I'm not sure of the right word there.
and get design, and that it won't blow down in a hurricane, those kinds of things. Yes, we do have wind load requirements that you would have for something like that, but essentially the calculated maximum sign effective area is going to keep it to a certain amount, and then you can't go above that. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It's not fair that I wasn't clear. So, and I'm not picking on the city of Stafford. I don't want anybody to hear that. But 12999 Murphy Road has these tall signs. I got the long legs and pop, 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 pop. Just an assortment of businesses, and it's distracting at best. It's certainly unattractive, in my opinion. We have a way of preventing that from happening, I'm assuming?
Yes, I am not familiar with this sign, but it sounds more or less like you're talking about a sign that's got 2 poles, which we don't allow.
Okay.
It's a monument sign, so the mechanism that's in it, that you stand up, there are 2 poles in it, but it's going to be covered so we never see it. So we don't allow signs in that type. We don't allow it.
So you do know what attractive is. Thank you.
Sean?
Jessica, thank you for pointing out what 40 feet was and what 22 feet was, because I was going to say, what's the tallest sign in that area?
Yes,
so I definitely know where the Sugarland Business Park 40-foot sign is. But how wide would that 35-foot sign be?
We didn't put a width on it specifically because it'll allow the business owner, the property owner, or the sign designer the ability to maneuver within that height. So they could have a shorter sign in height and have something that's wider, but you're always going to be stuck between the parameters of what you're allowed for that message, the area for the message. So we didn't feel that we should put any sort of width on that and just give more freedom for design on those signs.
So it's going to be limited to the 200 square?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The sign messages.
And these will not be electronic, follow-up, Mayor. These will not be electronic readers where there's a message scrolling across or anything?
No, sir, will not.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Got a motion by Kermali. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by McCutcheon. You voted this time? Oh, I didn't say that, Carol. The Mayor Pro Tem over here is helping me. It passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 7, City Council City Manager Report. 7A, City Council Member Reports. William, start with you.
No report.
Jennifer. No report. Suzanne.
I'll make it quick, though. I have 2 things that are really cool that I want to talk about. On December 6th, we have 6 new hires. I had the honor of reading them in and bringing them to the city. We have 6 new hires in the fire department. Welcome to the city of Sugar Land, guys. We are so thrilled to have you here. We appreciate your service to our city. And on December the 11th, Mayor, you and I got to hear the Lakeview Elementary Choir sing at City Hall. And
they rocked.
They were amazing. They had the hand gestures and everything. They had us dancing. So thank you, Lakeview, for coming and spending your time with us.
Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't exactly remember, but everything I did must have been better than what everybody else did.
Carol.
Okay. Well, the employee banquet was really great. The band was fun, and enjoyed seeing the service awards and the life-saving and safety awards that our great employees got. And the Christmas tree lighting was really, really fabulous, and thank you to staff for a great job on that. And the senior gala was always a lot of fun too, and those seniors really love to dance, so great job by staff on that.
Thank you, Carol and Sean.
No report, Mayor.
Carol, I was going to mention the senior gala. No report on my end. Mike, item number 5 or 7B.
Thanks, Mayor. City offices will be closed next Wednesday, December 25th for the Christmas holiday. I want to thank all of our employees who will be working so that we can enjoy that time off with our families. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. And before we go to closed executive session, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. This will be our last council meeting this year. We've had I think one heck of a year with staff, with council, with everything that's going on, and we look forward to 2025. Now we're going to move. Item number 8, closed executive session. 8A, 551087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, and B, 551072, deliberation regarding real property we will recess into the council dining room.